Tired of getting stuck in loops while making music? In the next 10 minutes, I'll show you a simple technique to never get stuck in a loop again. Hey yo, it's Alex from My Music. I'm a musician and audio engineer here to help you finish music you're proud of. I help music artists compose, produce, and mix their own professional sounding tracks by using a repeatable creative process. In every single video, my mission is that you'll get actionable advice that you can immediately implement to help you level up as a music creator. So again, in the next 10 minutes, I'll show you a very simple technique to never get stuck in a loop again. So if you've been making music for a while, right, even if you're new to this, chances are that you have gotten stuck in a loop before, right? Or you have a lot of projects that you've started, and you've got a good idea or two, and then you're like, where do I go from here, right? And this is actually a super common problem in the music production space. I used to get stuck in loops quite a bit, and we're actually going to solve this problem in this video very quickly. But the first place to start is investigating a little bit behind, like, why do we get stuck in loops? Like, what's actually going on behind the hood, right? In terms of psychology, in terms of getting stuck in a loop. And the reason is that in working on things and getting a good sounding loop together, or just a section of a track, right, we lose the most important thing when it comes to moving music forward and, you know, having the ability to finish tracks, okay? And the thing that we're losing is what is called objectivity. So in perfecting a single loop and focusing on one single idea for a very long period of time, you're actually going to diminish your level of objectivity the more and more and more you focus on a single idea. And I want to share with you an analogy that actually illustrates this concept very, very well. So basically, take like your favorite song right now, or one of your favorite songs of all time, and bring it to memory. And ask yourself, like, hey, if you were to play it one or two times, you'd probably enjoy it, right? Because it's one of your favorite tunes. And yeah, you'd like it. But here's my question. Would you feel different about that song if you played it maybe 5 times in a row? Maybe you'd still like it. But if I asked you to play it 10 times in a row, 20 times in a row, 50 times in a row, chances are that by the 50th time of listening to this track, you would not feel the same that you would about it in the first time. You'd probably be bored. You would probably start to not like it at all. You want to listen to something else. And yeah, it would probably get a little bit annoying. And the reason that this is important is that nothing in the music has changed in that situation. All that has changed is your opinion and perspective on the music. And this exact same thing is what we're doing to ourselves if we're looping our music over and over and listening to it again, and again. Okay, we're actually diminishing our objective view of what's happening. And over time, it starts to be very difficult to hear things that are different than the loop. Okay, so how do we solve this problem? Okay, because chances are you get an idea or two going, you get a pretty good sounding loop, and then you're like, oh, where do I go from here? Well, I want you to look at your existing ideas and experiment with them instead of having the pressure to be like, I need to get another section of the song, or I need to structure a song, okay? And we're gonna really focus on experimentation. So I want you to think that instead of creating a new idea, I want you to think about changing and modifying the ones that already exist in your loop. And the reason why is that every single idea, any single part in itself, can have an infinite amount of other parts built within it. Okay, so let me actually show this to you by showing my screen here. So I'm going to actually go to Notion and share this template. And if you want this template, let me know in the comments down below and I'll share it with you. But basically, we're focusing on extract in this video, okay? And what we're doing, we're taking ideas that hopefully are pretty good already, a loop that you like, or something that's above average, which comes from the previous stages of the system. But at this point, we are just letting ourselves explore and experiment with these ideas, okay? And again, this is a great quote that encompasses what we're talking about. The best way to have good ideas is to have a lot of ideas. And I'm going to pop myself into the corner. What's up? And again, yeah, like if you want to have better ideas and you want to expand your loop and develop them forward, you need to up the volume of your ideas, because chances are if you have a loop, you probably have like 3 or 4 parts, maybe 5 parts that are working together. It's sounding pretty good, but 5 ideas isn't that many ideas, right? So we want to up our volume from the basis of something that is already above average in terms of quality, right? So again, at this stage, how I would frame it is you want to still be in 100% divergent thinking, meaning brainstorming. Okay, there's no right or wrong answers here. But we're going to have a left brain focus where we're actually going to be trying ideas and thinking up ways that we can experiment and develop our ideas further. Okay. And essentially, we're trying to do extensive experimentation with existing ideas, your best existing ideas. Okay. And then as you start moving forward and changing ideas around, chances are that new sections and new parts, new possible combinations will emerge. And again, you're not pressuring yourself to try and create anything specific, but just through active engagement with those ideas, they will start to develop. Okay. And again, we're aiming for play here. We're experimenting, we're playing around instead of a specific outcome. Okay. So we want to focus on transforming, recontextualizing, breaking down, simplifying, complicating, building, destroying, and seeing what new insights and possibilities can emerge. And this phase is so crucial, yet so many people seem to not have it as part of their process, where you might have an initial idea or a good sounding loop, and then you go directly into trying to arrange a song. And again, we have to remember the quote at the beginning of the stage. It's like, if you want to make the composition stage and the arrangement stage easy, you want to be going into it with a lot of good ideas and already an inclination as to what the general structure of a tune could be, so that you have all the ammunition you need to then compose, instead of pressuring yourself to come up with a B section and a C section when you're composing. Okay. So that's a huge part. And again, this stage focuses on avoiding getting stuck in loops, lack of quality ideas, right? Sometimes you just don't have enough good ideas to compose a full track yet, right? And then forcing underdeveloped parts. Sometimes you move an idea when it's still premature. You still have to explore it a little bit more before getting the composition. Okay. So if you want the checklist for how to do this, just comment down below. And inside this template, we have the project card that has all the action items for how to go about doing this kind of workflow session. Okay. So you can follow the steps in there if that interests. But for now, let's hop over to Ableton, because I don't want this to go too long. Yeah. So basically, I got a loop here, right? And a lot of people find themselves in this situation. And well, what do you do here? So I'm going to invite you for a couple quick techniques on how to develop this farther. Okay, so I'll just give you a little taste of what it sounds like. So pretty solid vibe, a lot of good stuff going on there, right? But maybe if you have something like this, you're like, okay, well, what do I go from here? Well, the first technique and the first thing that I would always do here is just look at your existing ideas and see how you can experiment with them and modify them, right? Instead of pressuring yourself to come up with anything new, it's like, okay, there's some good stuff here. Well, how can we develop this further? So I've actually done this with a few of these ideas. So for example, if we zoom into, let's go ahead with soloing this chord, super simple, just two chords going back and forth with a little bit of a rhythmic cadence going there. So what I did is I made I duplicated this. Let's turn it on, right? And I made a modification where I just removed the chord. So now it's a little bit more of a melody, right? And we could experiment farther with this. Like maybe we take this first note, we kick it up an octave, right? We take this second one, we kick it up an octave. So now we're already getting some variation, and it's nothing crazy. Right? Still very much the same vibe, but just something a little different. And then I duplicated it again, right? Let's go over here. And this time I took the chord and I moved it to start on the downbeat instead of later in the bar, right? So let's listen to this one. And then I also created inversions, different voicings, right? Different chords versus the first one. So I just kind of took some of the notes, kicked it up an octave, took some other ones, kicked it down an octave. And again, these are not amazing parts, and that's not the goal. The goal is to see where this can go. And just even inverting these chords, I can start to get ideas about a new bass line that maybe matches with these chords and the new rhythm better. right? So let's go ahead and check out another idea. Let's go ahead and solo this. So we got this idea. All right, so cool idea. So the first thing I did here is, again, I duplicated it, and all I did was remove notes. Super simple, but we're just introducing more space, and now we get very much the same vibe, but a different motif. So this is the variation. Turn this one on. Right, so notice how just that simple change, just removing notes, starts to get some different movement going here. Okay, maybe this can lead us to somewhere else, so on and so forth. I did the same with bass. I just simplified it, and then I had this drum beat. I'll solo this for you, which is a calibrated instrument I made that has a lot of samples. That's another video, but essentially, yeah, I got a lot of cool samples in here that I've pre-mapped so that it sounds cool. But this is what I got just with this. Okay, so just a lot of vibe, right? This is the main vibe of the tune. But hey, when I jam this is pretty busy already. This is a lot going on. So what I figured is like, hey, I'll just duplicate this a bunch, right? And I'm going to simplify each variation. So look, this one is super simple, right? And then this one is a little bit more complex. So let's play this one. So we're just getting the groove and just getting some bass movement. Super simple. And then this other variation, we start adding in more hi-hat. Okay, so now I already have a little bit more ammunition to play with. And now maybe if we play this first scene versus the second one, we have meaningful motion, right? We're going somewhere different than the first loop. So I'll play you the first one here. Then we'll go to the second scene. Like, you know, just exploring around. Maybe the first one didn't sound too good and probably don't have it soloed, right? But for me, it's like, okay, if I drag this down and drag this up, we have two different scenes here now that kind of sound different, right? Scene one. Scene two. Right? So we're going somewhere, right? So you can see this. So it's super simple. And then the final technique I want to leave you with is that, hey, if you're still like, ugh, I don't know where this is going, it still sounds the same. What I would encourage you to do is just go ahead and throw this on the timeline. Okay. As simple as it sounds, this is the reasoning. So we're going to grab this, just in Ableton, you can click this and you can drag it into the timeline. Actually grab it here. There we go. And grab the second scene, throw it in the timeline, just randomly. Go back to arrangement view, and you could literally just start piecing together an arrangement. Okay. And you don't even have to listen back. Let's go ahead and put the grid on, right? And you might be like, okay, Alex, this sounds crazy. Why would I do this? And here's the reasoning is that instead of forcing yourself to listen to your track as a loop, okay, you're going to get something to listen to. Okay. You're going to get some piece of music that will probably not be great to listen to. Okay. And the whole reasoning here is that I want you to imagine this as creating the marble that you're going to sculpt later. Okay. Because one of the big problems of getting stuck in a loop is essentially you're like staring at a blank page, right? You're like, oh, where do I go next? I'm not sure where to go next. And then you kind of waffle and then you get bored and then you kind of move on, right? But this creating some sort of structure, right? Even if it is completely garbage, gives you something to make a decision about, right? You might be like, I don't like any of this structure, but this might be interesting. And having the frame of, hey, I don't like this. I want to